In today's episode, I'm gonna talk about IsMatch function and how we can use them for field validations. So I'm gonna start with giving an overview about IsMatch function and then showing you some examples and the differences between different IsMatch descriptions and matching options. And lastly, we're gonna see how we can apply them for field validations. So IsMatch is a function that allows you to match a string with a specific pattern that can be described either via ordinary characters, predefined characters, or regular expressions. So ordinary characters is basically matching word by word, or based on a specific sequence. For instance, I want to match a string based on the word hello, or want to match a string based on number 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, or I want to match a word based on a string Elaine at 1 2 3. So basically it's the exact match based on a specific sequence of alphanumeric characters and special characters. So that's ordinary characters. Is, I would say, the simplest way of using the IsMatch function. So the next one that can use is the predefined characters. So predefined characters is simple to use as well. Basically, there's a whole set of inbuilt enumerator that you can combine them based on the string concatenation method, which is the and symbol, and you can use them to build a specific pattern to match them with your text string. So some of the predefined characters are things like email, multiple digits, digit, that's all I can think of on top of my head. Oh yeah, hyphen, any. So these are already inbuilt, so you can actually combine them and then build a specific pattern that you want. For example, you can say email and hyphen. So if a text string match an email and hyphen, then it's true, or else it's false. So the good thing about predefined characters is that it's easy to use because it's already inbuilt. It allows you some form of flexibility because you can combine them and build your own patterns, but it has its limitation as well. So for example, if you say you use email, so in Power Apps, when you use predefined characters, email is actually checking for the @ symbol and the .com domain, which will serve the purpose, right? You actually could validate to say whether the email is true or false. But then if you want additional validation, or if you want to change the validation, for example, I just want to validate that the email have .com, you can't use predefined characters. To do that, you need something called regular expression. So regular expression is a very powerful way of building patterns. So if you are very familiar with programming, Python, maybe JavaScript, and I don't know, maybe some other programming language that uses them as well, as far as I read, is pretty common, then you can actually build a whole string of patterns using alphanumeric characters and special characters, which is defined by a specific syntax, which is called the regular expression syntax. So it's really powerful, it's really flexible, but you need to know how to write them, just like any other programming languages. If you want to know more about regular expression, I've left a link below that you can click on it to learn about the syntax and understand what every of these characters mean. Or you can actually just Google them. Like you can say, I want to know what is the regular expression for email, and you can easily find them. Like I've tried Googling for regular expression to only define alphabets or only define numbers, and it doesn't take me more than 10 minutes to find an example and reuse them. So there is no right or wrong, like which type of IsMatch description that you want to use, whether you want to use ordinary, predefined, or regular, is more on your use case scenario. So there are times that you can just use ordinary characters. There are times that predefined characters will do the job. But if you want a more complex validation, then you probably need to use regular expression. In my next slide, or should I say my next screen, I'll show you how to write these kind of descriptions and when to use them, and when is it easier to use predefined characters and when is it easier to use regular expressions. So before we move on, I also want to talk about matching options. So by default, if we use the IsMatch function, it match the exact string. So which means it uses complete matching options, word by word, character by character. But you can also define that there's like 6 different types of matching options that you can use here. So it allows you some flexibility to define how you want to match them. But at one point of time, you can only use one matching option. So I find that is the negative part of it. But on the hindsight, well, at least I still can define them. Like for example, ignore case, right? So if I don't define ignore case, it's actually case sensitive. So if I want to match hello world, it will check every word as well as the case of the alphabet, whether it's uppercase or lowercase. So if I do not want that, then I can just say it IsMatch, string, format, ordinary characters, and then ignore case. And then of course you can also use begin with, which means that I want to ensure that the beginning of the string is following this specific pattern. Same with end with, means that the last part of the string is defined by this specific pattern. So now if you look at my matching options, you can see begin with and a special character beside it. That's because begin with is a predefined character and the special character beside it is the regular expression. So for every predefined character is actually built by, like you can build it using a regular expression. That's how powerful regular expression is. That is why regular expression is more flexible compared to predefined character, because you can change them, you can modify them. But again, this is case by case basis. Depending on your use case scenario, sometimes it's easier to use whatever predefined because it's easier to write, easier to understand. But if you come across into a more complicated scenario, then you use regular expression. So now let's look at my next form here. So here I've built some examples on how to use character, ordinary character, regular expression, and predefined character. So the button here define what kind of IsMatch description that I'm using. For the first one, I'm actually just using ordinary character. The second one, there's both regular expression predefined, same for the third one. And the second and third one is actually to show you why on different scenario it's easier to use one or the other. So now I'm just going to close my screen here so you can see my formula. So let's look at the first one first, right? So ordinary characters, like I mentioned just now, is just an exact match of a sequence of alphanumeric characters and string. So here, if you see my formula here, I say that IsMatch, this is my string, which is my text box. Whatever I enter to a text box, it have to match this specific sequence. I love power-ups. So because I did not define the matching option, it's case sensitive, which means that if I enter I love power-ups in lowercase, it will prompt me an error which says incorrect. and I have to follow the exact sequence of this when I enter them. So let's try this out. So if I say I love power apps, let me just do this, power apps in lowercase. If I click on character, you tell me it's incorrect. So I have to put power apps all in uppercase. Oops, why is it not working? Oops, because L is uppercase as well. Okay, so I love power apps. Oh no. Yep. So now if I do not want it to be case sensitive, what I can do is modify my formula. So here is match. You will see there's a format. And then if I extend it, I'll just put max option ignore case. So now it should work even if I put lowercase. So I love power apps. So now it works. It doesn't matter how I enter them. But of course it's not gonna work if I just put power apps without the exclamation mark, because it's actually matching the exact complete pattern sequence. But if I do it this way, it's fine, even though my L is lowercase, because I put in the matching options of ignore case. So that's the first one. Now the second one is a text box that I want to ensure the users only enter 3 numbers, nothing more, nothing less. So if I look at regular expression, so this is how it looks, the syntax like if I use regular expression. So this means digit /d, and the 3 in the curly bracket just means that you have to enter 3 numbers, 3 digits in them. So if you do not enter them, then there'll be an error saying that enter 3 digits. There'll be a warning, or else it's fine. So now we look at the predefined, right? So I mentioned just now that in predefined, you can build your pattern using the available matching in enumeration. So digit is one of the enumeration that you have, because I want to make sure that they only enter 3 numbers, nothing more, nothing less. So I have to draw out my pattern. So that's how I draw out my pattern. Digit, and then using the string concatenation, I put another digit, string concatenation, another digit. So this is one of the scenarios where I think that it's better to use regular expression, because it looks cleaner and it's simpler to write. If you want to define using the predefined characters, if you want to say enter 10 digit, you have to enter these 10 times, and well, it's a lot to write. You could copy and paste, but then the formula just looks a bit clunky to me. I don't like it, and I prefer to write it this way. But it does the same thing, like it does the job. So if I enter 1 2, you can tell me enter 3 digit. So I enter the 3rd digit. Now it's happy. If I click predefined, because the 3 digit is alright with it. If I click 1, it's not gonna be happy. So I'm just gonna show you what if I want 5, right? To enter 5 digits. So I gotta do digit and digit 1 2 3 4 5. So just enter it this way. So now you have 5. But in regular expression, I just need to change it to 5. So now if I enter 5 numbers for 5, it's happy. Same goes for this one, it works. But if I put 4, it's not gonna work. So this is one of the scenarios where I think regular expression works better than predefined. So now I'm going to show you another scenario where the predefined is actually way simpler than using regular expression. So this here, I just want to validate the email address. So a simple email address validation is, like I mentioned previously, just to validate that you have the @ symbol, and then you have a .com domain. So if you use predefined, all you do is you say email, because the match imam is already there, it's already pre-built. But if you use regular expression, oh my god, look at this string. I wouldn't have write this. I copied it somewhere from the internet, found it in 5 minutes. So, but it does the same thing. But if you look at a regular expression here, you can actually change it, modify it, and come up with your own pattern to describe how you want to ensure that an email address is entered in a text box. Where else in predefined, you can't actually change how the validation works. So if today I say I don't care about @ like you could put whatever symbol you want, but I just want to make sure that there's a .com at the back. So I would use regular expression and modify this instead of using predefined. But or else both do the trick. So if I come here and I said Elaine at Barhead dot, tell me invalid email because there's no .com. Put .com is happy now. Same goes for predefined. So these are the 3 scenarios that I hope will help you understand when to use a regular expression and when to use predefined, and under what scenario which is easier to be applied. But again, this is all personal preference. If you're very used to regular expression, if you have been writing JavaScripts and Python all your life, then you probably not bothered with predefined at all. You probably just build your own pattern and you can do it with a snap of a finger. But for someone like me, it's either I Google for it or I use what is already available. So if you want to know what predefined character that is available for IsMatch function, I've also left a link at the bottom, which is pointing to the Power Apps Bible, which is a .microsoft/powerapps/ismatch function, and there's a whole list of predefined characters that you can use, and it also talks a little bit about regular expression and how you can use them. So lastly, I want to show you how we can apply it as a validation for the fields. Well, this is kind of already what I've shown, but I just want to show more examples on how we can actually use them when we build an app. So if we go to the next page here, okay, so this, oops, let me just refresh this. All right, cool. So show what I was trying to do here. Yeah, so I just want to refresh my form. So here I have a form. So it's normal to have probably a data entry app. It's just for a salesperson to enter the contact information, or maybe for an event where you just want to take down the name of people who invited the event, and you do not want people to key in rubbish, because rubbish in, rubbish out, right? So you want to have some form of validation to ensure that, for example, in the name, they do not enter special character into the name field. For email address, they are actually entering somewhat a valid email address. At least it looks valid. And for mobile number, maybe you want to validate to that they enter just 10 characters, which is Australian number, or maybe they enter with a prefix or do not allow prefix. So you get more data, proper data that goes into your database. So here I have done just a simple validation that you can't actually enter special characters. So no special characters allowed. So this is basically my validation button. Email address, we have spoke about it 3-4 times, but I just want to show it again because I think this is a very important validation, because people likes to enter rubbish email address. And mobile number, so I have a validation to say that for mobile number you have to enter 10 digits. So if I put 04345671 it will not like it. So I have to put 10 digits. 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. So you can expand this further by maybe putting in a pattern that omits, that includes prefix like +6 ones, or if you always have to start with 0, 4. So you can build your own pattern using regular expression. Let me just show you how I wrote this. So for the name, yeah, this is a crazy one, right? So I found it in one of the codex website or something. So this one is basically omitting all the special characters. And I've also learned that, if you want to match the whole string in regular expression, make sure that you start with the inverted V and you end with the money symbol, or else it's just gonna validate the first alphabet and not the whole string. So that's one thing I've learned from copying and paste, examples from internet. The next one is the email, which we spoke about so many times, but here all I use is a predefined character, which is just email. And lastly is the number. So for number, I use regular expression, because or else I gonna build my pattern from digit, which is the predefined character. So be digit and digit and digit times 10, which is really long and lengthy. So the last one that I want to show is the login. So I think it's pretty common to need to validate the fields when someone create a login, because besides security reason, one is security reason, secondly is, well, you normally have a predefined pattern for logins, right? So let me just refresh this. Yeah, so what I did here was for username, I validated that it must contain 4 to 10 alphanumeric characters. So this is done using a regular expression. So again, you see there's this inverted V and a $sign to ensure that it's checking the whole string. The first part here is just saying that it must be alphanumeric. So you can see there's small a, small z, caps A, caps Z, 0 to 9. And this curly bracket here is saying that it must contain between 4 to 10 characters. The next one for the password, what we have here is it have to contain 6 to 10 alphanumeric character and at least one number. So again, you can start seeing a pattern. The more regular expression you write, or you copy it, or you build, you kind of learn how the syntax works. So like here again, you see it's a similar pattern you see here. So when there's an inverted V and a number, it's mismatching the whole string. And then it must at least contain one number. So digit /d is digit. So this is just saying at some point at the whole string, it must have a digit and then contain between 6 to 10 characters, which is in the curly bracket. So what I did here is I put in the validation on my error message box. So as I type, it will actually validate. So now this one, if I put EE, so it's just going to validate because I've not reached 4 to 10. But once I reach 4, it's happy. But if I put more than 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, it's not going to be happy again. So same for the password as well. So we say that it have to be 6 to 10 with one number, right? So if I put without a number, it's not gonna like it. But now it's still not liking it because there's more than 10. So I need to go something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 1, 10. Yeah. So 10 characters with one number. So that ends our episode for today. I hope that you have understand better on how to use the IsMatch function and how you can actually build forms and put in validations into the form. Oh, before I forget, one last thing. So I make a boo-boo here because I want to talk about this, but I forgot. So right, we'll just go back. I want to say that when you create a field in Power Apps and you want to ensure that the person only enters a number into this field, you do not need to put in a validation because you can actually select the format. So if you select a number format instead of text, you actually could not enter text and alphabet. So you see, it's pretty cool. So you only need to enter the number. Well, I mean, it's expected, but yeah, that saves a trouble of one validation. So you just need to validate on what number pattern that they enter into the field. So yep, that's all for today. Have fun and happy power wrapping. Bye.